Alright, hey guys, this is AN17 here, and today we're going to be discussing whether or not Dragon Ball GT is canon. I know this question's been asked a million times before, but I haven't seen anyone here on YouTube give a good enough explanation of it, so I thought I'd do it myself for you guys. So, Dragon Ball GT. Some fans love it, while some fans hate it. I for one would place myself somewhere in between, but still leaning towards the positive side. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I like GT, but I don't love GT. Also, let me just say something. The amount of hate that GT actually gets is completely unnecessary. Most of the people who hate on GT haven't even seen it. You know who you are, people. You know exactly who you are. But other than that, let's move on. Now, to give you a bit of a backstory on GT and how it actually came about, let's go all the way back to 1996. So, in 1996, we had the final episode of Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z had just ended its original run. Now, Dragon Ball Z is so big even to this day, so you can just imagine how big it was during that time, when, it had basically ended. People wanted more Dragon Ball. They loved it. So, Toei Animation is the company, the animation studio behind Dragon Ball Z, so those guys realized that, you know what? People want more Dragon Ball, and there's still money to be made off of this anime, so that's basically what Toei Animation did. They expanded Akira Toriyama's Dragon Universe, or Dragon World, and they told the story with Goku once again becoming a child. And Dragon Ball GT had its original run from the 7th of February 1996 to the 19th of November 1997, which is exactly 1 year, 9 months, and 2 weeks. The series lasted for 64 episodes and had one TV special. Now, what we want to know is that, was Akira Toriyama involved with GT? Because I've said this in the past, Akira Toriyama was not motivated to continue Dragon Ball Z. He had been doing it for so long with all that pressure, Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, no breaks, and everyone knew he wanted to stop and get away from Dragon Ball because he was completely, burned out. He had enough of Dragon Ball. So, was he involved with GT? And the answer is yes, but he had very little involvement with the series. The only thing he did was create the logo, the title, draw designs for the main characters, and draw some sketches. That's all he did, and I'll put those on the screen right now. So that's basically it. As far as the story goes, Toriyama had no involvement. Toei Animation had brought in new producers to help with the plot and development of GT. Now let me show you what Toriyama himself has to say about Dragon Ball GT. This message you're seeing on the screen is from 2005, and it was written in Japanese and was included in the Dragon Ball GT DVD box set. Here is the English translation of that message. My sincerest gratitude to all those who bought this Dragon Ball GT DVD box. Being a lazy bum by nature, I was absurdly happy when I managed to safely finish up Dragon Ball's serialization and finally be released from deadline hell. The TV anime people wanted to continue for just a little bit more, but I just couldn't do it any more than that. And so I left the Dragon Ball anime completely up to the anime staff, story and all. That was Dragon Ball GT. In car lingo, GT means Gran Turismo, a fast, high-powered car. In other words, but in this case, I had GT mean Grand Touring. A great journey, since the scenario was that they'd be running around the universe. For GT, all I did was just come up with the title, design the initial main cast and some of the machines, and also do a few images. However, I was able to rest easy handing things over to the excellent staff who had continued on Dragon Ball for all this time. In particular, the animator Nakatsuro-kun is amazingly skilled and mastered the peculiarities of my drawings in no time at all, to the point where there were even times where I couldn't tell whether I had drawn a certain character design or if he had. For instance, one of Nakatsuro-kun's design was Super Saiyan 4, which appears in GT, and the picture above is a portrait that I drew looking off it. Did I draw it well? Dragon Ball GT is a grand side story of the original Dragon Ball, and it'll make me happy for us to watch and enjoy it together. Akira Toriyama. So as you can see, guys, from the message, Toriyama was actually happy to finally finish up Dragon Ball Z. He was happy to leave Dragon Ball because he just couldn't do it anymore. Like he said, the only things he worked on was the title, the logo, the main character designs, and some sketches, images. Even Super Saiyan 4 wasn't his creation. It was drawn by Katsuyoshi Nakatsuro, and as you can see at the end, Toriyama even calls Dragon Ball GT a grand side story, meaning that it's not part of the main Dragon Ball storyline. So there you have it, guys. Is Dragon Ball GT canon? Absolutely not. You read it from the man himself, Akira Toriyama. So that's all for today, guys. I will see you next time. Peace out.